Everybody, how you doing? Luis Mendoza here in San Diego. Sip and Learn. As you guys know, we've done Sip and Learn education seminars. So as everything is going on with COVID-19, we decided to take this virtually. So if you have your cup, your drink, enjoy it. Happy hour, 4 o'clock on a Thursday. Well, our goal is going to be through Sip and Learn is doing these every Thursday at 4 o'clock in different educational sectors of real estate. I think it's important for us to be on top of it as an industry, also as a as a consumer. And by us doing this, is we are definitely excited to have two leaders within the industry. First, I want to introduce David Romero, CEO of Century21 Award. He's been through these battlefields in the past, with being in the industry for real estate over 25 years. And right now, last year actually had a great year. He was number 3 in the world in sales and in Century21 system in the world, and also number 1 in the West Coast. And I'm also having Frank Fuentes, National Vice President for New American Funding. Frank's been in the industry for quite a while. Both of them are in Southern California, but we also have the regional, the micro sector of the industry, and also at the same time have the macro and what's going on within the industry. I really want to thank them for their time. I know we're going through some crazy times that we never thought we would be going. Me and David talked. Frank had me in an interview the other day, and it was pretty interesting, talking about how we're doing business. A lot of stuff is going virtually, as you guys can see. The word of the year is going to be Zoom. We never thought that we were going to have a new word. And what I want to do is go through different sectors on what's going on with the marketplace. First, we're going to go through what we've been since March 13th. David was talking about. We've been with the stay-at-home in California, so it's almost 45 days or something like that. It's crazy. Time has flown, and also at the same time, what I want to know to educate everybody is what they did in the beginning when it happened, and then also at the same time what they are doing now, and what do they foresee in the future, because that's what's going on. A lot of people think that us realtors are shut down. I've had a lot of people talk to me, hey man, I'm sure you're just sitting at home, you can't sell any houses. Actually, we're busy. The people that want to buy and sell are totally busy. So with that, I want to start with you guys with a couple questions. David, we talked about we're on week 6 of this pandemic. What were the top 3 things that you can say that you did as soon as we faced this situation? What were the top 3 things that have helped the company, the agents, which you have, how many agents? About 1,000, I think?
Yeah, a little under 1,000.
Yeah, so it's like, what did you do in order to have the leadership? I'm part of it, and I've seen some good changes. What did you do in those top 3 things that you can mention?
First of all, Luis, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Thanks to everybody for tuning in. So, Luis and we've been through a lot of these challenges before, but obviously we've never seen anything like what we're seeing right now. What I've learned in past challenges is that you've got to act quick. That's probably the number one lesson. And everything you learn by mistake, right? So didn't act quick enough maybe in the past. So yes, this order came in on Friday. I think it was the 13th. The stay-at-home order, met with leadership on Saturday, and on Sunday we had furloughed 75% of our staff. So we had to act quick on that, and we did act quick on that. And then second thing is we started looking at all of our leases and had our attorneys start negotiate the leases that we have about deferring payment and working out different things like that. And then also going virtual on everything that we did. We needed to make sure that the communication was really strong with all of our team, and pivoting to all virtual stuff with Zoom calls, Zoom meetings, and happy hours, and all of these things. And we had to pivot to that quick. So those are the 3 things we did right away.
Frank, you're on the lending side. A lot of changes have happened. I know that David and I talking about some transactions that loans were pulled out on loan docs during the last 30, 45 days. which kind of reminds me of 2008. Remember that? I'll never forget August 2008. People were saying we're funded. There was not enough funds. So we kind of like, it reminded me of the whole thing. Yeah. What three things did New American Funding do, you guys did, and yourself, in order to pivot the changes?
Sure. So first of all, thanks again, Luis, for having me on here. It is a true honor to be with this level of professionals here. So thank you very much for the invitation. As far as changes and pivoting, honestly, for us, it was actually a pretty easy transition, because for at least 2 or 3 years, we already had a lot of our operations staff working remotely. Underwriters, processors, assistants, so that infrastructure was already there. So in terms of operations, it was actually a pretty smooth transition. In the month of March, we had a record-breaking March. We closed about 7,000 units for a total of about $2 billion in volume. That was in March. April is shaping out to be another record breaker, believe it or not. Pretty crazy considering the circumstances. But again, this is because of our very, very proactive approach, especially in operations. Now, as far as changes to programs and products, I think the biggest hit so far to the industry has been the loss of non-QM loans. And non-QM loans refer, for the most part, to bank statement loans. Non-QM loans were having a very, very, very strong run in 2019, and it was probably the first program to go when this pandemic hit. Literally within a couple of 2-3 days, it was gone. So here at New American Funding, we're blessed that we have our own proprietary non-QM program, so we didn't have to rely on those other investors for the program. And however, we did have to make some adjustments and tweaks, minor tweaks to the program, but it's still safe and sane. So just to put it in perspective, what we did was drop the down payment requirement. It used to be 20%. Actually, we increased it from 20% to 25%. And we increased the FICO requirement from 680 to 700. So anybody watching this, whether you're a realtor or a consumer and you're self-employed, you can still purchase a home with a non-QM loan program and qualify based on bank statements with no tax returns. And I think that's very, very, very important for anybody watching this to comprehend, because that was one of the biggest impacts as a result of this COVID epidemic. Number two, which we're still seeing adjustments, is jumbo loans, jumbo lenders. Today, right before this call, I got an email from one of we started off with about 19 jumbo investors, okay, that we've had for 2 or 3 years. That list went to about 5. From those 5, I think we're left with about 4, and out of those 4, almost daily, they're adjusting loan to values, again, increasing down payment, increasing reserves, increasing FICO requirement, okay? That's on the jumbo side. Now, on the FHA conventional side, luckily, we've been able to keep our FICO score minimum at 620. So 620 for FHA, 620 for VA, and 620 for conventional conforming. And on that same note, we have not added any additional overlays to that in terms of added reserves or more down payment. So for the most part, FHA, conventional, and VA, we're still underwriting to the T, to the book.
Frank, quick question. What's the loan that is out of the $2 billion that you did in March and all stuff? What would you say the percentage is FHA, VA, jumbo?
My guess would be it was probably 50% conventional conforming, probably 30% FHA, VA, and the remainder jumbo and non-QM.
Okay. Wow.
Okay.
David, you and I talk about numbers all the time. You know, it's all about numbers, and you've been always good since I've met you. And we know you got one thing that I say is in your leadership, you're looking ahead and everything else. But tell us about the numbers on real estate in Southern California.
So the interesting that before all of this happened, the market was hot. Market was extremely hot. We had very, very low inventory. We had appreciation on prices, and the demand was good. And this took us all the way to the first probably week of March, where everybody was having a record time, and then it just dried up after that. So our March was strong. Our beginning of April was strong. All on closings, though. These are stuff that had originated in the past. And so that was strong. As far as where we're seeing the sharp decline right now is on new business, new pendings, new escrows opening, and new things hitting the market. Probably about a 50% decline in new business right now. You've got people who are panicked and they're scared. They're not able to work. They're not able to leave their home. So that has definitely caused business to slow down. So when we get out of this, there's going to be a lot of pent-up demand. And we're not, even with this slowdown on sales right now, we haven't seen it hit prices at all. Prices have stayed stable during this whole time, so prices haven't had a hit. Now, a lot of people like to compare this to 2008. Now, we know that 2008 was a totally different situation, because we had a very unhealthy market in 2008, where we had way too much homes on the market, a glut of inventory. We had people that had no equity in their homes, and so, but that's not the case at this point. The loans that were available at that time were very low down loans, were again not the case now. So very healthy market right now. So once we get out of this, everybody's expecting that real estate is going to help us lead out of this again, and that it will be strong, and it will go up at that point. So the unknown is, how long will it take us to get there, right? That'll be the big question. But for the people that are staying in touch with people and still want to do stuff, there's a lot of opportunities when we get to the other side of this.
Now, can I comment on that, Luis?
Go ahead, Frank.
Yeah. Let me just elaborate on that. And I'm so glad that you brought that up, David, because in a lot of the webinars and calls that I'm involved in this morning, I had a call with the MBA, Mortgage Bankers Association. And you're right. In almost every conversation you hear out there right now, people are comparing what we're seeing right now, or at least trying to compare it in one way or another to 2008, or in our case, differentiate it from 2008. And this morning, I actually took a picture of one of the slides, which I thought was pretty interesting. And in that slide, again, in comparing 2007 to March of 2020, they were talking about the amount of subprime loans that were outstanding in 2007. And I'll just go through some of these numbers real quick here. So in 2007, there was 5 million active subprime loans out there. Currently, there's about 1.9 million. In 2007, there was almost 13 million adjustable loans out there. Currently, in this environment, 3 million. In 2007, there was 5 million adjustable loans that were to reset within a couple of years. Right now, there's 300,000. Okay. Back then, 2.5 million option arm loans. Remember those? The famous 1%. Okay. Right now, there's 300,000 of them. So the difference between subprime loans and adjustable loans compared to what we see now, I mean, you can't even put it in the same sentence. World of a difference, a universe of a difference.
Absolutely. And in San Diego, there were 20,000 homes on the market at that time. Right now, we're at 5,000. Yeah. And the 20,000 doesn't include all the new construction that was out there on top of that. So it was even bigger than that.
Huge difference.
So it's a night and day completely.
Yep. And then on top of that, back then, as we all know here, lending pretty much came to a halt, right? I mean, it pretty much landed to a halt. And you were mentioning, Luis, we were funding deals, and then we'd get emails. The wire has been recalled. That loan is unfunded now, right? Now, yes, it's getting tighter. The box is getting tighter with different loan programs, but for the most part, it's a fairly healthy lending situation as of today.
Yeah, it's a different monster, right? What we're going through. I call it, and I told David, I feel this is 9/11 with 2008 on crack. I was like, so it's a different monster that we gotta adapt to it and move forward. My saying is light at the end of the tunnel. There's light at the end of the tunnel. We're going to move forward and all that stuff. And something interesting that, on that part, and I think David could help us out on this, is that there's a lot of equity out there. You talk about the equity out there with the average and stuff like that right now?
Sure. Right now, 25% of the people own nothing on their homes. Nothing. 100% clear. So that's a big number. Now, of the people that have equity in the home, average is around 32% right now. So there's a ton of equity over there. Before, if we go back to 2008, people had only put 2-3% down. You see prices move down 2 or 3%, and then it's over.
You run water. Yep.
Yeah, they're not going to walk away from their homes right now, and we're also not predicting any sort of price decrease. And if prices do go down, let's say worst case scenario, I would say very low single digit depreciation if we do see some prices go down at all. So again, a different situation.
Yeah, I think, it's one of those deals that we go day by day, hour by hour, right? We one thing, and we're fighting a unknown monster, and I think we're doing as a country. I'm proud of being American, and definitely, moving forward on the situation and doing the best we can, being safe. Now, and another question, now let's go to the fact, what are you guys doing now? Because right now, we already started, how are we keeping the horse running per se, the companies, the business? What are the agents doing? What are the lenders doing? Frank, tell us, what are your lenders in New American doing?
Sure. As far as us, really it's all about operations. Our strategy, I was on a 1.5-hour sales call earlier today. And it was all about keeping our operations people, number one, healthy, keeping them at home until we get the order that everybody can go back to work. So number one, operations to be able to serve our business partners the best we can. So that's priority number one. And number two is really staying ahead of the curve when it comes to this mitigation, these forbearance situations, right? As a company, we are a servicer. We service 96% of the loans that we originate. So we have this huge portfolio, but we've been very proactive in managing the situation as far as forbearance and mitigation. So operations is key. Number two, mitigation and forbearance, keeping the customer service dialed in, and just having a very proactive approach in managing that portfolio. And number three, really leveraging technology like we're doing now with our loan officers and our branch managers across the country, and just making sure everybody's on the same sheet of music with all of the marketing technology that we've incorporated here since the last couple of years. And I think now is the time to really embrace it and really put it to good use.
Yeah, I agree with you that 100%. David?
Like Frank said, keeping everybody safe is the number one priority. And, showing the new normal is hand sanitizer, gloves, masks, all of those things, and getting people to be comfortable with that. There's still people that need our help. Housing is one of the 3 basic human needs, and people continue to need that. And the things happen every day, like divorce and relocations, and all these things are still happening. So we need to make sure that our team is able to help the people that need our help right now. And the good news is that the people that we're working with right now are very motivated. There's nobody just looking around. If they're not serious about looking for homes, they're not looking for homes right now. So our team is able to work with people who truly have a need to move, that they have to move, or a seller who has to sell, and then showing them how to do that. And again, as a seller, you're not having a bunch of looky-loos through your house. If somebody's coming to look at your house with gloves and with a mask and with hand sanitizer, they are serious, a buyer for your house. So we've been able to weed out the people that aren't serious and not waste anybody's time with that. And just showing people the new way. It's Zoom conferences with listing presentations. It's virtual open houses. It's really communicating with people this way instead of the face-to-face communication, and helping people to embrace that. We were lucky enough to be deemed essential And we take that as a big responsibility, right? We have because there's a lot of people who can't work. So we need to make sure that we are embracing that and going out there and helping the people that need our help.
One interesting part is we're talking about the markets and stuff like that, what's going on right now. It goes by sectors, right, David? It's I had was a property I had in escrow in Chula Vista, and I got Tidewater. Basically, the appraisal didn't come in, and it went from 559, and we're going to close them 520. But then you got another area here in central San Diego that we just put an offer for a client, and it's a $700,000 range, 11 offers.
Wow.
So I think it's, you're looking at the whole, micro real estate area of demand and supply, which is falling again to
That's what it comes down to. Yeah.
Which is, your schools, your areas and stuff like that. Would you guys agree? Frank, what do you think?
Absolutely. And then you throw, the biggest factor out there, or one of the biggest factors, ultra low rates. Rates are at a historic level. Low threes, mid threes on jumbo. Rates are historically low and for the most part, attainable. Again, the lending criteria hasn't gone way overboard. In my opinion, it's still fairly loose. Yeah, we lost non-QM. Jumbo is tightening up, but for the most part, most loan products are still safe and sane.
Frank, you told me last week you did someone at VA, I think, a loan. What was the interest rate?
Last VA that I quoted was in the mid to low threes.
Wow. That's insane. And I tell people, the consumer every time, because I think we get spoiled. Remember those days in 2005, 2006? Oh, you know what? If it's not 5.25, what can you give me? 5. Come on. And later on, they refinance 2 years later. It's kind of, interesting on the whole point of, holding off. But, I tell people, what's the average, David? 6.5% on interest rates for the lifespan? Has it been keeping track? Right?
Yeah. With this, we're not just in lows. We're like the lowest ever. We're at a point where this is the lowest since the history of tracking rates. That's how low rates are. And speaking of the military, we're also fortunate to help a lot of military clients. And with the VA product right now, they're getting in with next to no money into properties and being able to help the military get into homes right now. It's a once in a lifetime opportunity for them, and encouraging them to continue to take action.
Absolutely.
No, that is awesome. So, David, what else do you doing right now with the agents? What do you see? Are you seeing, a lot of this? A lot of people don't like technology. A lot of clients don't like. A lot of agents don't like technology. It's like, how are you seeing them react to the situation?
Well, we have no choice anymore, whether you like it or not. You're in. So if you want to be in the game, you've got to play. And so you had a choice before. You didn't have to embrace technology all the way if you didn't want to. Now you have to. And the people that aren't embracing this, they're struggling. They're not going to be able to make it to the other side. So it's been said that in times like this, people either get bitter or they get better. And so we're focusing on getting better as a company, helping our agents to get better and really embracing this, because we're being more efficient now. So we used to have these virtual trainings all the time. And on a good day, we would celebrate when we would get 25 people on a virtual training, because we thought that was a huge thing. Now we average 300 people that show up on the virtual training. Wow. Because they are embracing this and know that this is the new normal, and there is no going back. There is no back to go back to, right? It's going to only be the new normal that we go in and embrace.
It's kind of like, I brought it up the other days. It's a tool that we've had in the past, because we've sold houses sight unseen from before. David and I, we're talking about 2009. I sold a house for a guy from Mexico City that was in India, and it was right before December. And I did, what was those little cameras?
GoPros.
GoPros?
No, before the GoPros.
Before the GoPros.
The little stick ones. I forgot the name of them, but
Kodaks or what? Polaroids.
But you know, it's like it's you know, implementing the tools that we've had in the past and stuff like that. Now, Frank, in your side, you know, on the virtual part, you guys, a lot of it, you know, you don't have that much. You have interaction with the client, but not as much.
Right.
So there hasn't been that much change on it, right?
For us right now, Luis, honestly, we're probably more productive now than ever, man, because it's like really everybody's focused at home, even if they've got kids. I mean, again, on the sales call, we had top producers there. I kid you not, guys that are doing 100 million a year that are doing 50, 60 transactions a month. Yeah. And what they were talking about is just their laser focus right now, but their laser focus combined with an agenda, with a routine. Okay, they have their day broken up into certain disciplines, and they're just sticking to the agenda, sticking to the routine, and it's working for them.
That's awesome.
I think that's key. You've got to have a new routine now.
Yep.
That's the key right now. Because if you're treating this time as a vacation or a time off, you're in trouble.
Yep, I agree.
David, let's go back to that point of treating it as a vacation. I know you talk to a lot of leadership in rheology, and you talk to a lot of leaders within the industry and everything. And what are you seeing for the real estate industry? The agents, it's 1.8 million right now, I think, in the U.S. or something like that. You know,
there's been some early predictions that we might lose 500,000 agents on this change, that they won't be around when this is over. And some people think that is conservative. You know, same thing happened in the past. I think we got down to 750,000 agents is where we got to the low point before, and then we got, you know, close to almost 2 million now. And so, you know, there are some agents that probably won't be around when this wave has come. So you've got to, you know, when this goes, when it gets back on, you need to be running already, right? So if you think that you can wait and then start to pick it up and start running again, you're going to get run over. So really keeping people engaged right now, staying in touch with all of their clients, and using this time, as Stephen Covey would say, to sharpen the saw, right? Figure out how you can get better during this time. That's what the best agents are doing right now. Like
what do you guys think about social media, the importance of social media, especially now for education, for marketing? You guys want to touch on that?
Yeah,
Lead
actually,
generation.
I think it's a great point, Frank. You know, it's great. A lot of people didn't like social media. They're in it now if they want to survive.
Exactly.
You know? And I've been in social media for, it's like a little bit, I'd say, like 3/4. Now it's like even more education. I think the more education that we give out there, because things are changing every day, so it's like, it's really, it's moving along. And there's so many programs out there in social media. Of course, you got your Instagram, you got your Facebook, you got your Twitter. It's funny, Twitter, I've had Twitter since it started. I'm starting to use it even more, as a news source. I think a lot of people, we don't do the Twitter because it goes into a lot of news and stuff like that. So I use it as a news sector, right? Instagram.
Let me give you a tip real quick. Let me give you a tip on Twitter. So on Twitter, whenever you get a chance, type in a question. Type in a question into Twitter. Say, I'm relocating to San Diego, okay? And then tell me what you find. You're gonna find strings of conversations of people that are talking about that. And then all you have to do as a realtor, hey, here I am. You're looking to relocate to San Diego? Here I am, okay? Because that's the cool piece about Twitter that people don't know. That if you notice, Twitter's motto, or I think it is their motto, join the conversation on Twitter. That's what it's all about. You can chime in on other people's conversation and be strategic incorporating real estate. So try it out.
It's interesting because, it's like right now what we're doing. Whoever thought Zoom with Facebook Live, right?
Yeah. But you can generate leads on Twitter is what I'm saying. Yeah,
I like that idea. David, what do you think on social media?
Our best agents are really using social media to connect with all of their people on a deeper level right now. Everybody's there. It's a way to reach out and really connect at a deeper level, and they're really making the best use of it.
Yeah, and I think it's like I said, it's interesting about ads. Let's talk about Facebook ads and Instagram ads. I was at with my coach and everything that we're talking about social media, and it was interesting enough. The revenue for Facebook, okay, 70% down.
Wow, that is interesting.
All the big companies pulled out because what did you get? Your Nike messages, your Macy's messages, you pull up shoes. It was just, and that's where they were making most of the revenue.
Food, restaurants,
food, and all that stuff. It's really, it really goes into that factor of like, hey, you know what? It really, you got to take care. You got to look for the opportunity and find it. So right now for Facebook ads, that's why you don't see that many. But you see more like regional, agents or people that are still in the industry and stuff like that. I don't even look up. I mean, I look at my Facebook. I can't remember what else comes in. So that's an interesting point that people are, because I like to see your screen time nowadays on your computer. I mean, on your iPad and your phone. It's crazy. Especially with parents. Teaching from home and all that stuff, helping out the kids. It's like
fractions.
Yeah, trust me, we got 3 kids, man. It's like, whoo, give it to my wife because teaching them and everything is like, and I'm learning as we go along too. Not only am I learning about the industry, I'm learning about different little things, that a first grader learns.
That must be difficult.
But remember, I was in Mexico back then, so I'm learning the new stuff from America. Hey, let's go to a topic that a lot of people are also wondering. We have people that are in the right now, there are consumers that are watching us, and also people within an industry. Commercial. David, what do you see in the commercial real estate side?
We're seeing that, we were talking about Cheesecake Factory. It was the first one to come out and say, we're not paying our rent, right? That was the big retailer to come out and say, we're not paying. And so then you see a lot of people that have followed suit after that. And, commercial was going up and up before all of this. And now, it's going to struggle with people, like this. You got the Cheesecake Factories of the world not paying the rent. Believe me, everybody else in that center is in the same boat. So I think that commercial is going to be very vulnerable in the future,
especially with those big box stores.
Which were already struggling anyways.
Exactly.
Macy's and JCPenney and all of them were on just hanging on by a string before all of this, and so this is going to be a big blow to them.
Frank, any comments on that?
You know what? The only thing I haven't seen or heard in everything that I follow as far as the industry, I haven't seen any good news as far as the government creating a backstop for loss mitigation or any type of forbearance agreements on the commercial side. A lot of the focus obviously has been on the residential piece, but I'm hopeful that they do come up with a plan, a more aggressive plan for the commercial side, because as David mentioned, that is an important piece that has to be looked at. It definitely can't be ignored because there's billions, if not trillions, of outstanding commercial debt out there. That could be a possible impact as well.
Yeah, I personally, consult a project in Vegas, and I just got spanked on it. They pulled us.
Oh, that's right. You were telling me about that. Yeah.
3 days before, $6.3 million refinance. It's like 3 days before. So like, you go, what? It's like, that's when I knew, here we go. That's exactly when I knew, let's go back to that point, David, the stimulus. How is that helping the economy? What do you see in it? And how is it hurting it too? Because I know there's the pros and cons on it.
I believe that it started with good intentions. I do believe that it has good intentions, but it's always in the details, right? So, that first round of money got gobbled up very quickly and probably didn't get into the hands of the people that needed it the most. So now we've got the second round that's being passed today, and hopefully we'll see that the businesses that are truly struggling and do need that money are able to get some of that money, in this next round. But I think in general it's positive, and it's a good thing, and it's needed to keep our economy and our businesses afloat.
Frank, and you can bring this up about the stimulus regarding the
Sure.
servicing. I think it's
Absolutely.
a good explain.
For us, yeah, for us on the mortgage side, I honestly think, and I think others in the industry would agree, that the Federal Reserve acted very swiftly and correctly at the right time. They immediately started once they saw the market basically deteriorating. The Federal Reserve immediately jumped in, started purchasing, I think it was like $50 billion worth per day of mortgage-backed securities. And then within a couple of days, it was unlimited. They were like, whatever you guys need, we will purchase them so you can continue lending and you don't cause any further disruption to the mortgage market. So that was a very positive situation that has put us in the position we are in right now.
Agreed. I think that the Fed acted before any of this really started to happen, where they had an emergency meeting and lowered rates by a full 0.5%, which was crazy because they hadn't met in an emergency between session meeting before. The last time they did a quarter. So to do a full 0.5%, they were very aggressive at the beginning, and I think put us in a better position than we are now because of their aggressive actions.
Absolutely.
It's funny because I remember that it was a Sunday night.
Yep.
Remember? They met on a Sunday night, and I'm like, wait a minute, the Fed's meeting on a Sunday night and doing 0.5%? This is not good, right? Past experiences.
And then Powell was on the daytime shows talking about it. I'm like, whoa, what, the Fed chief is on the daytime shows talking about this stuff? It was crazy.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of the things that people are talking about, and people are asking me, what should I do? Forbearance, or if they should do forbearance on their mortgages. And I'm telling my message is, if you have the money, pay it, right? Frank,
Right.
Can you go a little bit on that?
Yeah, same recommendation, Luis. I think in our industry, whatever call you join nowadays, that's the recommendation. Definitely make your mortgage payment because what we don't know yet with clarity is what the repercussions are going to be for the individuals who, quote unquote, take advantage of loan forbearance agreements, okay? Because it's going to depend on the type of loan the individual has. If the individual has a Fannie Mae, a Freddie Mac, an FHA, a non-QM, a jumbo, each lender, each loan type, each servicer is going to handle the forbearance agreement differently, okay? The federal government came out under the CARE Act saying that credit should not be impacted, okay? That will apply for agency loans, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, FHA. What about for those non-QM? What about for jumbo or other portfolio loan programs? So it's very important for individuals to know what type of loan they currently have. In a lot of these webinars and calls I've had, I've shared with individuals that there's tools out there. All you really have to do is Google, does Fannie Mae own my loan? Does Freddie Mac own my loan? And once you type that into Google, you'll land into these landing pages, and all you have to do is type in your address and the last 4 digits of your social, and it'll tell you, yes, your loan is owned by Fannie Mae or by Freddie Mac. Hopefully that's the case, and within those parameters, then your credit hopefully will not be blemished. Again, it's too soon to tell because we still haven't seen, I've only seen 2 instances already when I've pulled a credit report from a consumer who's called me in, and I've seen that verbiage on their credit report. Loan is currently in forbearance, okay? Now this individual had a non-QM loan. So he was calling me to refinance. He had an 8%. I was offering him a 5% on a non-QM bank statement loan. However, because of that terminology on his credit report, now I have to go in for an exception. Okay, so that's a possible consequence for that borrower of entering in a forbearance agreement when in fact he really didn't need to.
Frank and Luis said if you can make your mortgage payment, make your mortgage payment. That's the first of this.
Absolutely.
What I think that the banks have learned from the last time is they don't want to take your house back. They don't want on your home. So if you have issues, communicate with your lender. They want to work with you. They want to work something out with you. So that's, what we learned in the last short sales and from this whole REO thing before is communicate with your bank early. If you're struggling, reach out and they will work with you. I am seeing that. We're looking at the notice of defaults all the time, and it's still extremely low. Nothing, no big increase of notice of defaults so far.
I was going to ask you that's a great point, and I'm very happy that you brought that up, because really in a lot of these Zoom calls, it hasn't come up. It hasn't come up yet, and I was wondering about that actually earlier today. What are the notice of defaults? What are the trustee sale notices? I mean, what are you guys seeing?
It's low single digits. Also, talking to someone who manages 3,500 doors, out of the 3,500 doors that they manage, there was less than 20 that didn't make their April rent. Less than 20 out of 3,500 doors.
Wow.
So far, we're not seeing any sort of mass people not making their payments on their rent or their mortgages right now. Now, with 22 million people unemployment, for sure that's going to change.
I think because what's happening with the moratoriums, it's going to lag, right? It's going to lag the NODs. You can't do a notice of default. You can't do a notice of sale. Right. You can't start anything. So when it starts, it's going to be something that's going to be in 2021 if something happens to their house and even forecloses. A lot of people are asking me, hey, I'm ready to foreclose your market. Well, you better be waiting another 12 months. If ever. And the reason why is because what Dave said, if the average, how many people have equity? 37%?
Equity.
Yeah. All that equity, So it really comes down to, it's like playing it safe. Now, the question that I'm sure a lot of people want to know, where do you guys see us? The country opens. And as we know, different areas are opening. Some states are opening, going to start opening on Friday as we go along. What do you guys see in the future for that part? It's like, what do you see the markets? Here's the biggest question a lot of people say. Do I wait until the really buyers are out there, or do I list now, or what do I do? David.
So, a lot of economists are predicting, what's the alphabet soup of a recovery. And originally we all were hoping for that V, where it would be the quick down and the quick up. Now I don't think many people are predicting that V anymore. Then people said, well, it was going to be a U, where we go down and then we drag on the bottom for a while before we pick up. And it seems like the latest vogue is people are saying it's more like the check mark, where it goes down and then it kind of be staggered like that. The longer that this goes, the more hesitant people are going to be to get back into it. It's not going to turn the lights on and bars and restaurants are going to be packed. That's not going to happen. It's going to take some time for people to feel comfortable to go out again and to be in places like that. So it's going to be a slower recovery than we originally thought. But back to the other question, if I'm a seller and I want to sell, if you want to sell, it's a great time to sell right now. Why? Could we be at the peak of the market? Very possibly we could be at the peak of the market right now. And if you want to max out on what you can get for your property, this would be a good time to do that. If you don't want to have open houses and have a bunch of looky-loos through your house and only have serious buyers looking at your house right now, this would be a good time to put your home on the market. If you want to wait, guess what? Everybody thinks the same thing. Everybody's going to wait. And so we're going to see all the people that have been waiting to put their homes on the market. Once it goes back, you'll see a bunch of inventory go on there. And when there's more competition out there, the odds of you getting top dollar for your home declines. So if you can sell and you want to sell, this is a good time to do it. And you feel comfortable of doing that, talk to us and we can help you.
Definitely. Thank you, Dave. Frank?
Yeah, from my perspective, what I would say for any potential buyer out there that we could potentially assist with a loan, take advantage, number one, of the ultra low rates right now in this environment. And number two, take advantage of the fairly loose lending guidelines that we still have today. Because I guarantee you, once we get back to this new norm, a lot of lenders may keep those temporary rules and guidelines in place as a guardrail for future situations. So my thought is that I believe that mortgage lending might get a little tougher as we proceed. Okay, down payment requirements may increase. You may see down payment assistance programs go away. Increased reserve requirements. Again, everything we're seeing may continue. So if you're a buyer, serious buyer, like we were talking about earlier, take advantage of the environment currently, right now.
Yeah, and I think, it's like you can see it in some of the results. I mean, a perfect example, whoever thought during this month, Bill Gates would get a house for $43 million in Del Mar that just closed, I think it was this week, David?
Yeah, a couple days ago. He could have backed out. He didn't. He kept to the transaction.
$43 million, 5,140 square foot house. It's like, it's crazy. So then you start looking at that. And David, when you say in San Clemente, our company, we just closed what?
We closed a $4 million transaction just a couple days ago. And, this is somebody who was not affected by this at all. See the value of a property like that. I think you see properties like that, they're still going to take action. This type of thing doesn't stop that type of buyer.
And then, the other thing too is like that I'm seeing is with some of these buyers and some of these sellers, some people feel very scared and uncomfortable that people go into their houses. Mm-hmm. So it's got to get over the fear. If they don't want to, of course, we say no, safety first. That's our number one priority in everyone's industry, in our industry, especially right now. We don't want to but some of the people are saying, hey, you know what? I got to move. I got to figure it out. We have a relocation department, David, that, we do nationwide. It's like people still moving, right? We're still getting people we're getting transferred to us. Every
day still. Yeah. Now, it's not as much as it used to, but it's still happening every day. And to Frank's point, because of the loan products that are out there right now, you have a bigger pool of buyers. So as a seller, this is a good thing for you too. If you've got more potential people who can purchase your home, that helps you with your value. If there's less products, and that means there's less buyers for your property. Another positive of putting your home on the market now.
Yep.
Now, as we have investors out there, guess what they want to know? Which city, and we're on a national level, companies, New American, Century21, which city is the one that you think it would be good to invest? Which one's going to be the worst hit right now? David?
I think Vegas is in trouble. I think Vegas is in trouble right now with, so dependent on the tourism. And, I think that it's going to be a while before people start heading to Vegas and having big conventions in Vegas again. And the economy is very dependent on that. I think that's a tough market.
And so you were saying, so the hotels, in order to break even, have to do 65%?
65% occupancy for them to break even in Vegas. Wow. So for them to get to 65%, I think it could be years before we get to that level in Vegas again.
Wow.
Frank?
For me, what I would say as far as strong markets now and going into the future, I'm going to have to say Texas. I'm going to have to say Dallas-Fort Worth. I have a lot of contacts out there, our major servicing centers out there. Currently, they're very active out there. Dallas-Fort Worth, Houston, a ton of activity out there. And number two, we were talking about this earlier, the whole Atlanta market, our region out there, our LOs and production is off the charts in the Southeast, including Atlanta and parts of Florida, Orlando, Central Florida, same thing.
And Frank, would you say that's because of affordability in those areas?
Definitely affordability. That's the number one driver. Affordability, and in Fort Worth, Texas, Dallas, decent paying jobs. The oil industry is fairly strong out there. Just a lot of industry, corporations moving out there. So a lot of good economic activity in that Dallas-Fort Worth area.
That's awesome. Well, you guys, I want to thank you for your time. I think this is awesome information for the consumer, for the agents out there on what's going on. I want to appreciate you guys' leadership that, the reality, there's some companies that have their head underneath the pillow and saying, oh my gosh, how am I going to survive this? And I think experience makes a difference on it, and I think it's leadership like you guys that's going to keep our industry, keep real estate going strong in the future. And I believe that's going to be, it's going to be hard, but it's still here. It's nowhere to go. People
Right.
still have to buy, people have to sell. David and I were talking about it. Now that people are staying at home, what are they doing? Wondering if they should get another home because
Move
They don't
on.
like their home.
they don't like their home.
It's too small.
Extra room for the kids to play pool and put them in there or do their school,
bigger yard, bigger barbecue area.
bigger yard.
Set yourself up for the next quarantine.
Right?
So it's like, it's really, so I think it comes to that. So any final thoughts, David?
Just thank you for having us, Luis, and thank you for doing this. I think education is the most important thing right now. So stop watching the news, everybody, right? You can get crazy on that. So thank you for Luis for putting this together and really educating people about what's truly happening out there.
Frank?
Yeah, same thing, guys. Just to echo what David just said, education right now is key for everyone, for lender, overall, even if you're not in the industry, if you're a consumer, educate yourself, listen to the professionals, vet them out. You can Google anything nowadays, and just educate yourself. Once you're in the process, look at your options. When it comes to choosing a realtor, choosing your lender. Shop around, because you are going to see differences not only in experience levels when it comes to real estate and lending, but you're also going to see a difference in products and pricing. In my opinion, now more than ever.
And and one of the things that I gotta tell you guys is, I remember during the crisis in 2008, it was so much information out there that people didn't know. And I used to do, seminars on short sales, on foreclosures, on, funny part, Frank, about Fannie Mae and Freddie, whether they owned it.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't even know that.
I know.
It's really like simple things that make a huge difference on an investment like your house, right? Yep. So that's our whole point on Sip and Learn San Diego. What we want to do is have people like David and Frank in our program next Thursday. I'm going to have Rancho Ted. Ted, he does hard money loans, and he's going to tell us a little bit of what's going on with the hard money loans and on a non-QM situation. If someone can't help you, they can do that. He's experienced in San Diego for years, and looking forward to that every Thursday, 4 to 5. That's my commitment to the community. That's my commitment to the industry, to get educated and be here for you guys. I want to thank you guys again. Be safe. Cover your mouth. Wash your hands. 20 seconds. Right? 20 seconds. It's funny. You laugh this. My wife, Leslie, tells Alexa, count to 20 seconds. So the kids are washing their hands.
Make it official. That's a good one. I love that.
So, be safe out there, and we're here for you. You guys have any more questions? If this is recording, I'm going to put it out on the social media sites, and I'll send it out to everyone that was a participant. And then also at the same time, what I'll be doing is any Q&A that you guys may have in the future for David or Frank, I can send the questions for them and everything, and then we can go from there. I appreciate you guys. Be safe, and this is a great time together. And next time, bring a little glass of wine.
Okay, sounds good.
Bye,
Thank
guys.
you, gentlemen.
Have a good one.
Take care. Be safe.
Thank you.